What is up, RotoBallers, and happy Thanksgiving weekend. Hopefully, you had a good turkey day, and let's finish off the weekend strong with some victories this coming week on Sunday. Still got a lot of football left, even though 3 games have already been played. So let's see who you should be starting and sitting at running back. Let's start with Saquon Barkley. You'd think it'd be a no-brainer that this guy was in your starting lineup, but a lot of people concerned because, well, he just wasn't very productive this past week in his return, finally returning from injury. But look, Saquon Barkley, it's not his fault. He was barely used, only 6 carries, and it's not like he was terrible with the ball in his hands. But the good thing is, number one, he's got a floor. Okay, he caught 6 balls also. So if you're in a PPR format at least, then you know he's going to be involved as a pass catcher. Number two on his side is he's got the Eagles coming up. They're bottom 10 run defense. So they're a lot tougher against the pass. But I think that number one, we're going to see Barkley involved a lot more, but also going against a pretty soft run defense. But the third and final, most important thing is Jason Garrett is finally gone. I know all the G-Men fan are happy about that. So, new offensive coordinator. Let's see what happens as far as play calling, how drastically it changes. One thing I think for sure, there's always pressure to win in the Big Apple. I'm pretty sure now with Garrett gone mid-season that we're going to see Barkley get the ball a lot more. So again, this is a smash spot for him. If you're concerned about the fact that he really didn't do much for your fantasy team last week, I think it's going to be a complete 180 in week 12. So definitely keep him locked in there no matter what. Okay, Javonte Williams is a guy that we know has been really impressive in real life, but the problem is the timeshare there with Melvin Gordon. It's still going on, right? Melvin Gordon's still healthy, still technically the starter. It's a 1A, 1B situation. So sometimes both guys have value, sometimes neither one does. It kind of depends on the matchup. Well, thankfully, the Chargers, even though they're a good team, they're still one of the worst run defenses in the league, giving up the second most rushing yardage total in the league. And this is a team that is pretty much become a run funnel defense here. Hard to pass against, very easy to run against, and that hasn't changed recently. So I think we're going to see Denver try to control the ball on the ground. I think they're going to be able to pretty easily. Of course, this is the Melvin Gordon revenge game, if you want to call it that. Melvin Gordon, I have him slightly ahead of Williams because I think he is going to be the guy who gets the ball in the red zone a little bit more often. But Javonte Williams' good thing is he's catching passes just about as much as Melvin Gordon, and he's been more efficient, averaging 5 yards per carry. You know, he's somebody always a threat to break it, take it to the house. So in a good matchup, I think you have to roll with him. You can probably start both him and Gordon. Not that you have both on the same team, at least hopefully not. But Williams and Gordon, I like both of them in this matchup. Do like Gordon a little bit better, but I'm saying Javonte Williams. Don't forget him. He's a must start. And then Ty Johnson, is there any jet that's a must start? Yeah, I'm going to go with two this week. If you watch my wide receiver video, you're going to see another one. But I'll go with Ty Johnson because, look, we know that Michael Carter, the rookie, is out for a couple of weeks. There is really no running game to speak of. Even Carter himself, I know he'd been doing okay here and there, but mostly as a pass catcher. His rushing stats were not very good. He only had one really effective game on the ground. Ty Johnson has had none. So why would you start running back on a team that doesn't have much of a running game and he hasn't been used barely as a runner? Because he's a pass catcher, and that's it. So there is value there, just like with Carter had that nice game a couple of weeks ago where he caught like 7 passes. It's Ty Johnson's turn to be that guy. Tevin Coleman probably takes some of the early down work, but Johnson I think gets more touches. He will get involved more as a runner just because he'll need to. And he is the guy that is going to be the pass catching back. So out of the last 5 games for the Jets, there were 3 times that Ty Johnson caught at least 5 balls. So again, talking about PPR format, the most common, he definitely has a floor there. He has scored 3 touchdowns this year. He'll be used around the goal line, especially with Carter out. Ty Johnson, despite his size, does get used sometimes near the goal line. And the matchup, of course, the matchup. It's the Texans, one of the worst run defenses in the league, but also a team that's known to give up points. So I think with Zach Wilson back at quarterback, we're going to see them lean on the running backs just a little bit more. So I do feel good about Johnson. I feel better about him than Coleman because Coleman just doesn't have a lot of steam left, and Johnson's got a lot more work this year. So I'm going to go with Johnson. Again, this is a league where hopefully you don't have any running backs that are better options, but I do think Johnson is in a really good spot to start. Now, what about our must sits? Let's start about a guy I really love. I always, kind of carry a candle for Damien Harris. He's a great running back, and he's very efficient with the ball in his hands. Not really used as a pass catcher, unfortunately, but that's okay if you're racking up, 100 yards on the ground and scoring touchdowns. The problem is here. Now it's a little bit of a timeshare with Ramondre Stevenson. We saw last week pretty much dead even in touches. I'm not sure it's going to be that case going forward. That's not what I'm worried about so much this week. It's not that I think Stevenson is taking away his job or that Harris isn't going to get enough touches. It's the defense that they're going to face. It's Tennessee's defense. They have, of course, been really good lately. Let down last week, obviously, against the Texans. But against running back specifically, they haven't given up more than 75 yards to running back groups in 6 straight games. So even losing against the Texans, it wasn't because of the run defense. They shut them down. And so I think that we're going to see the fact that he's going to get fewer touches than usual against a really tough run defense. I think you can fade Harris because, again, the floor with him we know is very low because he doesn't catch a lot of balls, and he's going to be touchdown dependent in this game. So if you have a better option, I would roll with it. And then Jeff Wilson, I think we can agree that it's not 2020 anymore. A lot of people going crazy, spending it for fab. He's going to be a league winner again because he had that one monster game last year. Look, that was last year. He had a lot of time off from football, but also it's a different offense here. Elijah Mitchell, here's the big question. Is Mitchell going to play this week? It looks like he is, but even if he doesn't, I'm still not rolling with Jeff Wilson. He was in the best spot possible last week against a terrible Jacksonville defense. He had the backfield all to himself and did nothing. I mean, he's averaging 2.8 yards per carry in, the 2 games he's played so far with pretty much the majority of the touches to himself. 19 carries, 50 yards against Jacksonville. That's all you can do. Against Minnesota, why would he do better, right? He's not. And so even if Mitchell doesn't play or is limited, right, he might be on a kind of a snap count, might get banged up mid-game. I have zero interest in Wilson because, again, this is not a special running back. This is not a guy who was a former first round or second round pick. This is an undrafted free agent, kind of a journeyman from North Texas. This is a guy who has 4.6 speed. Yeah, he looked really good at times last year. There was also several games he looked really bad. We forget those. We just forget that one monster game because it was during the fantasy playoffs. This is not that time. This is a year later. Again, he might still have some rust to knock off. Whatever the case is, he's not a guy who's winning your week. Maybe he has value. I'm not saying to drop him. I'm not saying he's worthless. I'm just saying I'm not starting him based on what happened a year ago. And in this game, I don't feel like he's going to be productive with or without Mitchell. All right. Those are my starts and sits for week 12 at running back. Hopefully this helps you guys. If you have any comments, leave them below. We'll try to get back to you. And of course, check out RotoBaller all weekend long for updated rankings and advice. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. We appreciate that.